Hello and welcome to another edition of the Forza Napoli podcast. I am your host, Joe Fischetti. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. It's been a couple of weeks since our last episode. I believe it was after the Atalanta match that we last recorded. So much has happened since then. We beat Qarabag in the Champions League. We beat Roma in Rome. Then we beat Cagliari in a crazy penalty shootout. And of course, we beat Juventus 2-1 at the Maradona. That is going to be the focus of today's episode, but I think we'll probably touch on some of those other matches as well, and we'll cover all of those matches a little bit and just the general success of Napoli since the November international break. And I am joined by a couple of guests to help me out with that. I'll start with the president of the Tri-State Napoli Club, Gaetano Salazzo. Welcome back.
What's up, guys? Thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me. It's been a minute. Really excited and happy to be back.
Yeah, it's you've been avoiding the pod like the plague. So
We've had some technical issues, and then
I'm joking. I give you the cold shoulder on an episode as well, so a little inside joke. But we did have some IT issues as well. Our second guest is a member of the Tri-State Napoli Club, Daniel Russo. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back, Joe.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure. I think we're all smiles, of course, after a victory over Juventus, but also after a pretty successful run from Napoli, 5 straight victories in all competitions, following what appeared to be, or maybe actually was, a crisis. Like, we went from some pretty heavy speculation that Conte might be quitting, and some criticism that he's taking time off when the club's in crisis mode. And since then, he's come back, he's changed a few things around, and Napoli have been doing really well, top of the table, tied with Milan, who came from behind to get a victory over Torino on Monday. But I want to start with, of course, this Juventus match. I mean, there was so much to talk about, and I think we'll start in part one with just kind of the overall team performance. I think the big kind of talking point during this stretch of form, this run of form from Napoli, has been the change in formation from the 4-3-3 or 3-4. What were we? I can't even remember what we were playing before, but to now playing in the 3-4-3 or 3-4-2-1, whatever you want to call it. And that's really helped both the attack and the defense. I think we need to start with the attack, though, because we're scoring goals. When we were in the previous system, we looked just kind of very predictable, very easy to defend. And all of a sudden, specifically with the insertion of David Neres, but also I think, and we can talk about the insertion of Noah Lang, we suddenly have way more pace, way more unpredictability, and we're creating a lot more chances and scoring a lot more goals. Dan, maybe I'll go to you first. I think everybody right now is talking about David Neres, and kind of rightfully so, right?
Oh, 100%. I think this change in formation helps him out the most. I wanted to touch, so we had to, make all these changes, right, from all these injuries. And looking back on it, it kind of is like a blessing in disguise a little bit. I hate to say that about injuries because, you never want to, hope for injuries to make something better, right? But I think we really needed to get back to basics. I think Conte was over analyzing things a little too much in the beginning of the season with all these options that he had. I don't think he's ever had this many options and this many roles, different roles on the field. So in his career, really, I mean, even back to his Juve days, I mean, he really only had like a very strong starting 11, and that was really it. I think that the change in tactics, and I was listening to Cassano today. I don't know, that the Viva el Football
yeah,
podcast. I always watch them. Adani and Cassano and Bento.
Big fan, probably the biggest fan of that show, I think.
I don't even know if I'm a fan of it. It's something to do during work. I have it on in my AirPods and I listen to them. So I love Adani. Cassano's just he's funny. He's comic relief.
Yeah.
Comedic relief. So it is what it is. But I think Adani said it just the same exact thing that I was saying. I think in the beginning of the season, we're so slow in our buildups, like you said, so predictable. We think that we're so much better than everyone else, so we could just do whatever we want with the ball. We don't have to play with so much intensity because we'll get to the goal anyway. But that doesn't work in the Serie A. These teams are so organized. You let them get back, the attacks are dead. Not even Inter plays that way, which in my opinion is the best team in the league still. So how can we play that way, right? Um, I just think the change in formation also helps us be a little bit more intense in our pressing. And if you see in the game, I mean, we get the ball back, and all of a sudden it's boom, 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 straight at Juve's throats, down Juve's throats. And I think that's where the 2 goals came from. And I love this way that we're playing now.
Well, yeah, the one injury that, yeah, you hesitate to call it a blessing. It's a blessing and a curse, I guess you can say, is the
Right.
De Bruyne one, because I mean, I almost forgot, but it was a 4-1-4-1 formation that we were playing, and that was really designed to try to get De Bruyne and McTominay and Lobotka and Anguissa on the field at the same time. Now that we don't have most of those guys, in fact, McTominay is the only one that's healthy at the moment. Conte was forced to do something different, and that's probably his strongest quality, Gaetano. Like Conte, when he's cornered, he finds solutions, and you're welcome to weigh in on Neres as well. But generally, when Conte is put in a corner, he seems to be at his best.
Yeah, I mean, I think even if we think about last year, right? He was dealt some hands that he had to make some changes on, and he was able to do that within the season and led us to the Scudetto last year. And it's been no different. You guys already touched on the difficulties after the Bologna game. Conte goes away. There's a lot of turmoil, a lot of speculation, like there always is in Napoli, right? Whenever these things kind of happen. So, yeah, I think that's his biggest strength, right? Obviously, from now seeing him day in and day out, he's obviously a great motivator, and he's able to motivate the team. But he's a great a tactician. When things are forced upon him, he can make kind of something out of nothing, or yes, something out of nothing. So obviously, Neres is playing, out of his mind. Cook Miners on him was a mismatch the entire game, to the point where Juve obviously had to double team and then left a lot of space in behind. I think also I know we're talking about the attack, but Lang on the other side is the closest to Kvara since Kvara left. I'm not saying that's the same player, but he can take players on one-on-one. He's got some flash. He can get to the byline if he needs to put some crosses in, and he brings those guys bring a lot of energy. And I hate to be the obvious Politano hater guy, but I think there's been taking him out of the starting lineup has been a plus. I mean, the guy has been running nonstop for a year and a half. Give him a lot of credit. He always sweats the jersey, but I think it was time to make that personnel change as well to kind of give a little infusion of life and going forward, right? I think Politano has always been great tracking back and helping out on defense, but we needed a lot more creativity. We needed a lot more finishing, and that is not only assists; he's also providing goals. So I think yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we lost Dan's video. He
Yeah.
sounds like he's still there on
Is he
the
there?
audio.
No,
There
I'm
we go.
here. I'm here. I was just mute. I was trying to mute myself. I guess I pressed the wrong button, but
There you go.
There we go.
I was just trying to mute myself, so I had to move for a second, and yeah, I didn't want to ruin
All-
anything that Gaetano
good.
said. So
Yeah, first of all, I think I need to take an L with Politano, because I was a pretty strong defender of his when everybody was saying, we got to play Neres, and I was still defending him. That's not to say, like, I also think sometimes some fans take it a little too far and start
Yeah.
actively cheering against our own players, but I think Neres has clearly proven over the last few matches that he's got to be the starter. And I now, before I liked Neres as the substitute guy, because last season he would come on off the bench and he would get a goal or get an assist or inject some pace or add some creativity or whatever, and it worked really well. And now it's almost like the reverse, where you have Neres starting and supporting the attack and giving us a lead, and then you can bring Politano on to help defend that lead because he's so defense minded the way he's been trained by Conte. So it really works, and then you can still start Politano against the weaker opposition, whether it's Qarabag or Cagliari or whoever. Obviously, there are going to be some times where, like right now, we have Juve followed immediately by Benfica, which is a much must-win kind of match for us. Maybe not must-win, but it's really important, to get those 3 points to stay in that playoff position in the Champions League. What I find with both of these players, Neres and Lang, and then of course we'll get to Hojlund in a second because he's also a huge part of the attack, but they both, now that they've been playing a bit more regularly, their confidence is clearly a lot higher, and that's showing on the field. One thing that they both give us is better crossing, which has been a real weak point for us, whether it's from the corner flag or just in open play. Like, that's one thing I really liked about Noah Lang, whipping that in-swinging cross in from the left wing, which we haven't really had, I want to say, since Insigne, maybe? I guess, Cavada wasn't much of a crosser, right? Like, Cavada was more of like almost like a second striker the way he played. He didn't cross the ball a lot.
So. I mean, if you remember, Insigne's crosses to Callejon at the back post. Like, how many goals did we get from that? Yeah.
Exactly. Obviously, I mentioned him, but the other big part of the attack is Hojlund. He's now, I think he has 2 goals and 2 assists in our last 3 matches. Gaetano, he's been really, a huge part of this attack. Obviously, with Lukaku out and Luka really struggling, and he scored 2 massive goals in this one.
Yeah, I mean, look, Daniel said about blessing in disguise, and Lukaku getting hurt at the time was, a nightmare. But it allowed us to get Hojlund, who I think has stepped in on, short notice, not with the summer training, and besides a couple of games, he's really played well every time he's been on the field. You talk about being wrong about Politano. Last time I was on the pod, we talked about Luka and how I was like, if we're going to get anybody, I think we should get him. And I mean, I couldn't have been any more wrong. So he is completely out of his depth. Hopefully, after a year or so that he's around, the club and Conte gets better. But, he can't play against any sort of good competition. It just gives you nothing. So, yeah, just for that fact alone of giving us that threat going forward. He's good in the air. Obviously, he's good with his feet. He's strong, he's fast. Pretty complete striker. I say he's kind of like a young Lukaku. He's got to refine his hold-up play a little bit. I think that's still not great. But besides that, I mean, he can play in the space. He can play the ball to his feet. And he seems to love the city, so he's really bought in.
Yeah, with Luka, there's even rumors now that he could even be sold in January.
Yeah.
And there have been some murmurs about the financial ratios that clubs in Serie A are required to maintain. So there may actually be a need to sell a player, or we might have to do loan deals to bring guys in. I think we're all hoping Kobe Mainu can come. We'll see if United goes for it. Hopefully, like, Lukaku seems like he's on the verge of returning, so I feel like we just need to last a couple more weeks with Hojlund playing a little bit more than we would like, and then Lukaku can come back, and then Luka is a true third option at that point. Then one of the things I love about Hojlund, even when, and I saw this maybe even especially when he wasn't, he had a period where he wasn't really scoring. He scored against like Genoa and then didn't score again after that for a while, is just his work rate. Because this guy just runs nonstop. I've never seen a player run as much and as hard as he does with such little service. Like, strikers are a rare breed, and they tend to get frustrated and demotivated when they're not getting the ball and not getting enough touches. But this guy just seems to keep running no matter what. It's like he enjoys just even chasing the defenders and pressing. I think it's unbelievable.
I love it. I think a lot of it has to do with sometimes he gets bored and he just wants to run. It seems that way, especially in the game against Juve. And I was like yelling at the TV a few times because sometimes he runs like so much. He'll run like a little too wide sometimes. I'm like, dude, if you just freaking run a little bit more central, you are in on goal. There was so much space in that game for him. And, obviously that comes with, getting more chemistry with guys like Lang and Neres, that they're very unpredictable. So he needs to also get with the program with them as well too. But I love Gaetano's point. I think that is such a really good comparison you made. Like he's a really young, like a young Lukaku. Lukaku was the same type of way. Not really the most flashy player, not really the most technical. Even though he has a pretty good technique, I think his hold up play in the game was awesome, but it's not consistent, right? Not every game he's like that. So I think he definitely needs to improve with that. Very much like Lukaku. Lukaku, not every game was perfect with his back to goal, but when he's on, it's like a menace. He's a fortress. You can't get him off the ball. You have no idea where he's going to run because he just keeps running, right? It's so hard to defend that guy. I was in awe at that game, honestly, with how we attacked. Conte has really gotten into their heads, and I was really scared after that Bologna game, but now I don't know.
Slightly
I'm
less
in this
scared.
league. Yeah, of course. I mean, as a fan, you want to be that way, right? I mean, especially after a game like that a few weeks ago, and only in a matter of 2 weeks, it's like our world has completely changed. So
One of my favorite
credit to the
plays
team and
was,
them. Yeah.
yeah, one of my favorite plays from this match was, it was in the second half. I think it was, we were counterattacking with Noah Lang, and Hojlund just started sprinting from inside our
Mm-hmm.
own half and blew right past him. He got the ball back, and I just wish he took the shot, because I think he tried to be unselfish and play like a return pass to Lang in the area into like, two or three defenders, and nothing came of it. But again, it was that desire, and I think that's a real reflection of the mentality that Conte's instilled in these players, right? And it's not to say that we didn't have that. It's similar to, we've looked back under Conte, or even under Spalletti. There's those highlights where the opposition counterattacks and the whole team is sprinting back to defend. It had that same kind of energy, right? Where he just wanted it so bad. Um, let's talk about the defense a little bit, because I think this formation has also helped improve the defense. We've only conceded 3 goals in those 5 victories. Obviously, we're not including the penalty shootout, which we can touch on. But Gaetano, I find that, like, not only has it improved the play of the central defenders, it's also helped players like Oliveira and Di Lorenzo, who have always been good kind of going forward, and especially Di Lorenzo, as he's gotten older, has become a bit of a liability at the back, and now that's less of an issue because he's got more cover behind them with 3 center backs.
Yeah, I think the player that this has helped the most is, without a doubt, Di Lorenzo. The guy's played every game since he got here, and he's getting older. So look, anytime, it's obvious. Anytime he went up against any sort of pacey winger, when we played a back four, he struggled, right? And we always had to give him help. This allows him to run less, have more coverage behind him, be more aggressive going forward. So I think, yeah, for sure, it's helped him the most. We haven't really been able to see Spina because he's been hurt. He's just not coming back in this formation. And the same thing with Gutierrez. But I think Oliveira's been good. I think Oliveira's always, since we signed him, pretty solid. Defending. He's not great going forward. I always joke that he's in a constant fight with his feet. But he's good in this formation. And the 3 central defenders, I think, are still kind of maybe figuring it out from time to time as far as who needs to step and who needs to drop, or if they're dropping or stepping. Those movements usually get solidified in the summer training. As far as when to run away or when to press. So that'll come. But I think we've been strong defensively the entire season, besides the PSV game. But this formation, I think this formation just solidifies the team overall, right? It helps us with the injuries, minimize those gaps, technically, and then obviously we talked about the attack, and it just solidifies the defense. Just it doesn't allow for a lot of one-on-ones. There's always coverage, which obviously is huge.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know why this banner keeps disappearing. If anyone's wondering why,
He's Spanish.
I think I think I figured it out. Sorry, I'm not the best when it comes to the technology, but yeah, I agree with you. Like Oliveira, he was another player for me that I was really impressed with his performance in this Juve match, especially just because of that work rate. Where again he was charging back. One thing about Noah Lang is that he still, I don't think he's getting there, but he still doesn't have the defensive mentality that we see from other wingers that are on this team, and Oliveira's helped a lot to cover. And I think also, despite all the injuries, one of the kind of, I don't even want to say fortunate things because you would rather just nobody be hurt, but we've been somewhat fortunate in that they've kind of taken turns getting hurt. So we've always had at least two sort of healthy left backs, and they've all been reasonably strong in different ways. Like Spina gives us a bit more attack and creativity, and he likes to get down that wing. Oliveira plays with more intensity and grit, but yeah, maybe has two left feet or two right feet, whichever the opposite foot is for him. And Gutierrez was looking really good before he got hurt, and actually had probably overtaken Oliveira in the kind of depth charts at left back. So now it sounds like Gutierrez is close to being back. He's not going to be in the lineup for Benfica, but we have three really solid options at left back. Unfortunately, we don't have much depth at right back. But then, in addition to the kind of call them wing backs being benefiting from the back three, I think the center backs have also benefited. We were talking a bit offline before we started recording about how Buongiorno's taken a little bit of time to get back to kind of get his timing back and his match fitness back since his long injury absence, and he seems to be improving. Rachmani has been the highlight for me, the star for me. He collected his I don't know if it was Serie A Player Award or whatever for best defender when McTominay got the Player of the Year. Um, but yeah, it looks like they're all, and then Volkmar, like I thought all three of them played really well. And what I also like, not to throw too many points at you all at once, but we're also seeing them now have the luxury of being able to step up and kind of join the attack, especially Buongiorno, and whether he's joining the attack or not, he's been able to be very aggressive in how he's defending. And I think, again, that's just because we have that numerical advantage with effectively five defenders when we're out of possession.
Yeah, I think. Let me start with your point on Buongiorno. I thought the same way as you. That out of the three in this game, he probably was the weakest. Not to say that he had a bad game per se, because that's still, for him being the weakest. The level was so high in the game that he's still good, right? But I think he just needs to learn this new role, because I don't think in his career, I've correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't, especially with Torino, I never saw him play this high up the pitch. He was usually always in the back three, usually the center back,
Mhm.
and always marking their striker out of the game. You know, that's the type of, he's a very man to man type of guy. So him being a little bit higher up, it's a little bit more risky. Definitely new territory for him. So I think it definitely. I think this Juve game was the best exhibition of that from him in this new role. Um, but yeah, like you said, I mean, they all work in a almost perfect synchrony, uh, and you can't really ask for more from them, other than, like you said. I mean, Buongiorno maybe just getting a little bit more, acquainted with that role. But other than that, I mean, the defense is just very rock solid, especially when I going into this new formation change. I was a little worried about the midfield being a little too short a guy, because usually every midfield you go up against nowadays is three. So 2v3 is not good. But usually one of them, from what I've seen, it always steps in a little bit to help out defensively, and it's been working so well, especially with the press.
Yeah, because the formation changes entirely in possession, right? Like what you see is the six drops between the center backs and the, or at least between two of the center backs. And then what we tend to see, depending on which side of the field the ball is on, if the ball's on the right side, then we'll see Bokuma go really wide.
Mhm.
So that Elmas or Lobotka are kind of playing between Buongiorno and Rachmani. So that's kind of like a back three. And then with Bokuma playing wide, Di Lorenzo will play a bit more inside, and he's looking kind of like a midfielder. So it's this change of shape, in possession that makes up, I think, the lack of midfielders on paper.
Right.
And then you have just there's still one thing Conte has done really well is he's kind of created these roles for each individual, and they kind of all know where they need to be and how to play off of each other. Like now we see, which I love, by the way, we see Antonio Vergara coming into the lineup. I think he started the Cagliari match because Lobotka got hurt, but he did really well. Not to sound like some, I've watched the Primavera for a little bit now, and so I know what he's capable of, and so it's like you're watching your nephew or something. Like you're just proud to see, we joke around, play the kids all the time, and so we finally got to see Vergara come in. We saw Ambrosino play. He didn't really shine as much, I think, because he wasn't playing in his natural position. He's not a winger. He's a number 9. But Vergara looked really good, and then he got a few more minutes off the bench against the Juve. So clearly Conte is developing a bit more trust for him. And again, we're a little bit desperate because of the shortage in the midfield. But yeah, it's I like how the shape changes in possession and how everybody seems to know their roles, whether it's someone like McTominay, who starts pretty much every match and gets the occasional rest, or a guy like Vergara, who's barely played and still knows what he needs to do. Before we talk about, I do want to talk about Elmas, since I mentioned him, but the other thing that I thought was just really, really impressive, both in the Roma match and in the Juve match, Gaetano, was the way we just suffocated them when they had the ball, especially the first half against Juventus. They could barely get out of their own half.
Well, that's another thing we were talking before we started, official recording, that I think Daniel said it. This formation also allows and calls for a much higher press because you're covered in the back, right? So it gives the team a much higher center of gravity, whatever you want to call it. So you're naturally just inept to press higher and win the ball back, which is in today's football, right? That is most top team plays. They play up the field, high up the field. They win the ball back and they turn you over, and then they go. So absolutely. And then I also want to add, if you think back on the Roma game away, and then Juventus, obviously, as we all know, the rivalry that it is. Together, we gave up 2 chances. The Roma game, the only shot they really had was the Baldanti chance at the end of the game, right? Do you guys think of any other? I can't think of any other one. And then
they had a couple kind of half chance, weak shots from outside the area. The XG against Juve's XG against us was 0.3.
Right.
And Roma's XG against us was 0.5. So,
and then against Juve was the goal, and then that one shot in the end by what's the
Segrova.
Segrova, yeah.
Which we were holding our breath on because that's just what we do. But at the end of the day, it was pretty central. Yeah. I mean, so it speaks volume. 2 really tough games. One on the road, one against, obviously, a notoriously tough game against Juventus. To really give up nothing, something's working.
The only thing that I was a little bit concerned about was that we were pressing so intensely and playing so intensely that I was a little bit worried we might just run out of steam too early, and knowing that we don't have a deep bench right now. But they managed. I mean, they kind of, Conte makes up for that by having them so well organized and so structured at the back. Like when you see this team defending, they're in just this perfect shape and moving all in synchronicity with each other. And so even if they're a little bit gassed, they're just still hard to break down because there's so many blue shirts back there. Let's talk about Elmas a little bit, because he was a player, and we'll talk about a few other individual performances as well, but Elmas was one that really kind of stood out to me in this match, just because he was asked yet again to play in a position that is not his. I don't even know what his natural position is anymore. I think it's like maybe attacking midfielder
I don't
or
think he
winger.
knows. He doesn't know anymore either.
Yeah, but I guess that's the beauty of a player like Elmas. He's just willing to play whatever position he's asked to play. And then I thought, like, there were times where he looked like Lobo out there, just in terms of how he was moving around the pitch, where he was positioning himself to receive, to win second balls, and then he has the composure to not panic in tight situations and the quick feet as well.
I mean, I think understanding a player like Elmas has been a little bit easier for me now. And like I was like what you said before, uh, not knowing where the hell this guy's supposed to play, where he even what's his role, right? When he was at Napoli, his first stint at Napoli. But now that I've started coaching myself, it's like holy shit, every coach would love to have this guy. He's the most tactically intelligent player, one of the most tactically intelligent players I've ever seen play for Napoli, at least. I mean, it's off the charts. Like you said, he looked at some points. He definitely looked like a Lobotka on the field. It was like we had him out there all of a sudden, and you know, I'm so happy we got him in the summer. I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought it was just like, paper talk, oh, this guy still has a Napoli profile pick. So yeah, we're just going to link him to Napoli every week. Right. But, no, I mean, not only defensively, but on the ball, being able to beat press, counter press. I mean, he's a very technical player regardless. So I kind of could see how he could, fit in that role because Lobotka's role really is beating press, right? With the ball at his feet. Uh, just phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, after seeing this performance, I don't want to kind of get ahead of myself or jump to any conclusions from one match, but I might even reconsider getting like a replacement for Gilmore, which I don't know if they would do anyways. Like, we definitely need to add some midfielders, at least one, if not two, in January, because even if who knows how long De Bruyne is going to be out for, and even when he comes back, I think I'd be a little bit skeptical about whether he can continue to play at a high level. Will he have lost pace? Is there a risk of re-injury? All of that stuff. So we need at least one more. Otherwise, we're going to just keep seeing other guys getting hurt. But I feel like Elmas is totally. I'm very comfortable with him as the backup Lobotka, while Gilmore takes his time recovering from his surgery. Gaetano, any thoughts from you on Elmas's performance?
No, I'll echo some of your sentiments. I thought he was kind of like that jack of all trades. Obviously, he was right the first time around, and it was a little bit frustrating. To Daniel's point, like where does this guy where is he supposed to play? Right, he plays and he don't have the greatest performances all the time because he also I think a player like that is also easily expendable for a coach. You could be like, all right, I'll just leave him on the bench 2-3 games, and then when I need him, I'll play him. And you don't get that consistency because he's just not playing enough, right? So that goes against him. But obviously now seeing him the second time around, and I mean, I don't think there's a position that he can't play. Any midfield winger, shoot, he can even play false nine if you needed him to.
And I
We
think
did. We had him play there against Milan in the Champions League.
And for North Macedonia, he plays in a very attacking role because they don't have a lot of players. But I think at one point he even played right back, if I recall, like off the bench.
I mean,
Probably.
Maybe that's our backup right back too. That we've been.
Mazzocchi a casa.
Yeah.
So I've gained a new appreciation for Elmas, and I hope he sticks around for a while because he's definitely a player that, especially with a guy like Conte, like we talked about, right, is likes to change things up when needed, can kind of plug him in where he needs.
And he's kind of like the perfect Conte player because one thing about Elmas, one of the frustrations with him is that he would be so technically gifted, but at the same time, I don't know, not the best finisher or maybe not the best decision maker. But one thing you could never fault him for was his work rate. And so you can see why Conte would be happy to have him on the team, because this guy, he's another one like Hojlund that just, it'll be the 96th minute and he'll still be pressing high and chasing people happily. When he left, I was kind of like totally comfortable with it. I wanted him to feel like he could go somewhere else and play as a regular starter. Unfortunately for him, that didn't happen. Maybe fortunately for us. Plus, we got a pretty good chunk of change for him when we sold him. Maybe that's the best part of this whole Elmas situation, is that we made a plus Valenza, and now he's still on the team. It's like free money, and he's making meaningful contributions. So I can't remember if it was a loan with option to buy or not, but I would definitely consider keeping him around, at least as long as Conte's in charge. The other individual performance I wanted to call out is a guy that we pretty much talk about every single match, and that's Scott McTominay. I think he just celebrated a birthday the other day. He's been collecting more and more awards. He's scoring crazy bicycle kicks for his national team. The guy is just playing out of his mind. And I think a game like this kind of highlights how important he is, even if he's not, scoring goals, because he contributes so much and he's so willing. And I think also, like, we've seen this history with him. One of the things that all coaches seem to love McTominay, because he's another guy like Elmas that is willing to play in whatever role the coach asks him to play. So he's played as a central defender. He's played as a defensive midfielder. He's played as, we kind of feel like his best role is as an attacking midfielder, and it's hard to argue with that. But in a game like this, where because of, or these recent matches, because of the injuries, he's asked to play a kind of like a less attacking role, but he's still so important and still contributes so much. Then, what did you make of sort of McTominay's performance in this match? Am I overstating his importance?
No, I don't think at all. I think the thing that comes to mind whenever I think of him is mentality monster. You got mentality midgets and then mentality monsters. Elmas and McTominay are the monsters, right?
That's a really mean Insignia joke.
Can you give me an example of a midget, please?
Mentality midgets. You guys, you connect the dots.
Okay,
he's going to be signing with Lazio.
I just wanted to hear you say it.
No, it's just. I mean, you like you said, you put him anywhere. You ask him to do any role. Just because he's playing center mid doesn't mean that he's playing in his role. You know what I mean? You could ask him. You got to be a little bit more defensive. Just like in these past few games, the entire midfield is out. He needs to step up. He needs to be the leader. He needs to be the MVP. The MVP could say, screw that. I need to go score goals because I'm the MVP. I'm the best player, right? And then completely screw up the entire operation. But no, he's not that. He's too good for that. He's too much of a mentality monster for that, right? And I can't say enough good things about him. Unfortunately, I tried to save some money, and I got from this. It seems like it's off topic. It's not. I got a Napoli jersey of his from China.
You got a Bancarella jump off?
Yeah, I got a Bancarella. And
Bancarella always wins.
Did they spell it wrong?
It's amazing. It's amazing quality shirt, okay. But it's too small on me, like way too small. It's marked wrong. The damn thing. I'm thinking of just putting it up on my wall at this point. It's like, what do I do with it? But I just to show you, I really don't get guys on the back of my jerseys, but him, I can't say enough good things about him, and it's for that. It's for that reason. He's exactly what I want my team's MVP to be.
Yeah, after what he did last year, there's no one will ever not like that shirt. There was one play he made. I can't remember who he tracked, but Yildiz went 1v1 with either Bokma or Di Lorenzo maybe, and he played a square ball into the area.
I think it was Conceição. I could be wrong.
Yeah, it could have been. And he just, again, kind of like Hojlund sprinting up the field, this was McTominay sprinting back, and makes an important, like, it doesn't seem like a big play, but that could have easily been a goal if he's just a little slow to react or a little bit lazy to track back or whatever. Huge play. And by the way, even though he didn't score, I don't know where I saw this stat somewhere pop up on social media, but McTominay's XG in this match was higher than Juve's as a team.
He missed a couple that he usually. I mean, the first header, the whole world.
Oh yeah, that header.
The first header, I was celebrating with my father.
Yeah.
We all did at the restaurant. Even the free kick kind of looked like it went in too.
At Pizzatiello, we all screamed goal. Everybody.
Yeah. He was a little bit unlucky. I think on the header, the Juve defender, it might have been Koopmeiners, looked like, or Kelly got like just the slightest touch. And I think that might have thrown him.
He had a second header too that hit the post, the outside.
Even the one right before halftime, that one I think he threw Hojlund out of the way to get to that header. That's what I love about him, man. He doesn't give a crap. He'll go through anybody to get the ball and get the ball in the back of the net, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. These are the players we want on the team, right?
But it shows, man, like just in general, I know we got to move on, but like what confidence can do for a player that they're good players, but sometimes they just lose their confidence, right?
Yeah.
The guy grows up, in the Manchester, the United system, since he's whatever, climbs up the ranks, he's one of the main guys, and all of a sudden he finds himself really not playing much, so he's probably losing a lot of confidence. The manager doesn't really see him as an important piece, and then he becomes a centerpiece of a new project, new city, new language, new culture, and he obviously from day one you could see this guy fully embraced it, right? We remember the videos when he first got to Napoli on off the plane and the reception he got, and I think. Sometimes we make too much of players like embracing the city because then they become like these folk heroes, even though they don't really perform. I think with him, it's been genuine since day one. He's really loved everything about this situation, and it shows on the field. Like you said, like tracking back, going above and beyond, playing every game. The guy really gives it, you could tell. So I think that and his confidence is fully back, obviously. I mean, like you said, this guy tries a bicycle kick every chance he gets. He gets out of bed, he's like doing bicycle kicks. That takes a look at those stages. Like you're talking about a World Cup, last year with Cagliari, right? But you're talking about World Cup qualify for your country that's not known for making a lot of World Cups or performing well, and the guy, does what he did. So that's confidence.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of feel like he was just born like a decade too late, because he would have been great for some of the older United teams. He just happened to come through that system during a pretty bad period for United, and we're obviously grateful that he came to us. It's kind of got like I feel like Mertens is on a level of his own when it comes to love for the city, but I get the same kind of vibes from McTominay. He's just loving life. There are some players that kind of don't want that much attention, like they kind of get overwhelmed by it. Like it is a bit overwhelming because of the passion of the Napoli supporters being like a one club city and all of that. And I think you need to have a certain type of personality to not only embrace that, but to like feed off of that. And some players don't have it, which is fine. But he certainly seems like he's one of those guys. And I laugh when I see these like British tabloid rumors that he wants to go to like Crystal Palace or something. It's like the guy couldn't be happier. His partner couldn't be happier. She's like loving Napoli and everything as well. So
that's one thing that
he's eating amazing too. Oh, sorry, Gaetano.
Right.
You see, I keep going on. I don't know if you guys have TikTok, but sometimes I see.
How old do you think we
chef. I'm just saying. I don't know. I was gonna say his chef has a channel. Yeah. And or I see, so I'm calling it a channel.
Private chef.
Him and Gilmore have they share.
My God, it's like, how could you not have the time of your life? You know?
Yeah.
Sorry, Gaetano, I don't know if you.
No, I was just a point about players like sometimes being overwhelmed with the city and not, trying to figure that all out. Amsic always says that, obviously captain for 10 years, the bandiera assoluta, like after Maradona, right? Mm-hmm. He said he decided to live in Castel Volturno because A, it was closer to the training ground, and B, he just couldn't he couldn't go out in Naples, right? Obviously, like Marek Hamsik, you go to the Centro Storico or whatever, and then you get mobbed.
Good luck.
In Castel Volturno, he said, I just became another guy in the small town, and it was whatever. So even somebody like that had to figure out how to adjust.
Yeah. a little bit off script here. I didn't mention this to you guys before, but it just popped in my head while we're talking about the love for Napoli. But this was also Luciano Spalletti's return to Napoli. I almost left this one out, but I wonder. I joked that Giuntoli was like a double agent, and De Laurenti sent him to like destroy Juventus, and he did a pretty good job of that. Now Spalletti comes in, and I'm starting to wonder if he's a double agent as well, because I thought, not to take anything away from Napoli's performance, but then Spalletti got a lot wrong, from not starting a striker to playing Coop Miners at left back that have to defend Neres, and then I think worst of all, taking off Kenan Yildiz in a 1-1 game. It was really, the message there was, let's try not to lose rather than to win.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if is it okay if I interject or?
Yeah, no, go ahead. I'm throwing it to you.
Okay. I mean, I think the only mistake he made in the game truly was the Yildiz sub. I think a lot of people are overrating Juve's squad a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
I actually think a lot of people are calling it out now. Like,
finally, right?
For their standards, this
because I mean, even with all the the issues we've had with injuries and everything, and having to put Elmas and McTominay as the only midfielders, right? I still was very comfortable going into this game. Like, yeah, we got him. Like, you look at that lineup. I mean, they have Lloyd Kelly. Kalulu's good. I'll give him. Kalulu's a really good player. Coop Miners, since he left Atalanta, he doesn't have the juice anymore. He's in many ways, other than one, doesn't have the juice anymore. The Atalanta juice.
The gas juice.
Yeah, the gas parade.
Literally and figuratively.
I mean, Cabal, horrendous player. I don't know what they've seen in him. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know any of these guys really. I mean, I like Conceição, but still, it's kind of like Tutuvu Menienda roast. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I mean, I can almost understand.
Thuram's a good player.
Yeah, Thuram, very good player. Fine, Locatelli, Scarzone.
No,
like, oh my God, horrible players. You know what I mean? So it's like, what can you really expect from him? You got, and he made a really crazy comment after the game. I've never heard a coach say this. It was like, why'd you take Yildiz out? Well, we have a guy that we paid $45 million on the bench, in Openda, and he has to play at some point.
He's done nothing. Openda has done nothing.
Like Conte would never say that. You know what I mean? It's clear that Spalletti's being influenced by the board there, to play certain guys.
That's exactly.
And he tried his best. Yeah. He tried his best to not have to play them in the beginning. It didn't work, having no striker. But then you see David went on the field. Thank God we didn't get him. He's playing for us.
I never wanted him, honestly. Being Canadian, I've watched a lot of his performances with the national team, and I kind of knew that, like, he can be good in the right system and whatever, but like, you watch him and it looks like he's just jogging around the field. Like, that is the opposite of what we want with Conte at the helm.
Yeah. Sorry, Gaetano.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. I was just gonna reiterate the point that, like, it's just, I think people are expecting a lot out of him. Where, number one, he's coming in a horrible situation. Number two, none of these guys are guys that he probably wants.
Yeah.
So,
well, besides Yildiz, right? If you just take a look to your point, Daniel, who are you taking over anybody in our team? I'm not taking anyone off their roster. I'll take Yildiz. And even I think he's a little bit overhyped.
I might take Kalulu. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Or maybe Thuram. Not even when we have all our team there. Anguissa's better. Thuram, very good player, but Anguissa's better.
Yeah.
So better.
That makes, obviously, that goes to your point. And look, I think we're all, anybody that's listening to this podcast, and obviously the three of us are happy about Juve's downfall, but it's clear that it's a bigger issue than whoever the manager is, because it's been now how many years? They're just not the same organization, right? So it starts from the top. Ever since the whole thing crumbled down with Agnelli and Nedved, it's been nothing but disaster. So I mean, look, we will rejoice and we'll be happy about it, but that's a fact.
Yeah, I think 6 coaches in 5 seasons now, and Spalletti's only under contract.
Right. I almost feel bad too, because like I kind of want. I think that's the last thing I need from Napoli. I don't even care about a Champions League. I need to win a Scudetto against them.
You did, bro. When Raspadori hit it.
I know, but they weren't our direct contender.
I
You know what I mean? Like I need to, like 2018 would have been it. You know, like we need to beat them. They need to be second place, like within 2 points of us. But we need to win. You know what I mean? It's just like it's too many times we lose to them. We've lost to them in history. I still have nightmares from that stuff. No matter how many Scudettos we win, I still have nightmares from it.
I'm perfectly content competing with Inter. I'll compete with Inter and Milan.
Fine.
I'm perfectly happy with Juve finishing 5th or 6th or whatever. You know, they had their run too. Like
they did. It's very cyclical. You know, I guess cyclical. However you say that word, but. It's crazy, you know, the way football works. It's like, you know, Juve, us 10 years ago were like, when the hell are they ever going to lose again? You know, then all of a sudden it was like a self implosion out of nowhere. Agnelli is having to run away because of whatever the hell they were doing. They were getting into with that guy. What was his name? What was the sporting director's name that got in trouble?
From
Juve? God, it starts with a P. Yeah, it starts with a P. Then he went to Spurs after.
What are you talking about? I don't remember his name.
About the plusvalenza.
Stuff. Petracci.
No, not Petracci. He's a good. That's another guy.
Yeah. It's something like
Percassi's Atalanta. I don't know what the hell this guy's name is, but
we'll look it up later. But
yeah.
Okay, let's quickly close with Benfica. We're recording this on Tuesday night, so some of you might be hearing this after the Benfica match, which is fine, but I mostly want to get your thoughts on whether Conte should rotate for this match. Obviously, we just, even, you know, while we're happy and while we dominated Juventus, it still was a pretty draining match that went kind of down to the wire because we only had a 1-goal lead. Gaetano, are you expecting any significant rotation for this match against the big clash, another big coaching clash between Conte and Jose Mourinho?
Yeah, obviously no love lost between those two guys, and Mourinho already did Mourinho things during an interview at this press conference before the game today about laughing about our injuries. I don't know if you guys saw that, and Conte responded, of course, and as Conte normally does. So that will be interesting just to see from that tactical standpoint, and obviously personality-wise, they're two very headstrong guys, so it's always fun. I don't know. I might be in the minority. Obviously, I love we're in the Champions League. I love watching us play in the Champions League. It brings a lot of emotions, like obviously growing up. And in my years, after I moved to the United States, we were terrible in Serie C and Serie B. So like you couldn't even dream of things like this, right? So just the fact that I get to turn on Champions League football on a Tuesday or Wednesday, we're playing is I feel like it's almost good enough. Like I don't have any grandeur dreams of winning the Champions League, especially with all these injuries. So I'm always for, like, I don't want to say put it on the back burner, but I always rather prioritize the Campeonato unless we really have like, hey, listen, we're legit contenders to win the Champions League, and then let's go for it. So if I'm him, I would do some rotating, but honestly, we're so shorthanded. I don't even know like where you would even rotate. I don't know who you're gonna play.
Would you play like? I think I know the answer here, but then would you play Politano over Neres?
I guess you play Politano over Neres.
He's a starting quality player.
Yeah, I mean,
whether we like him or not.
Yeah, you're dropping. There's a big drop off right now, but yes, that's something you could do. You want to get crazy, you play Vergara. I mean, you want to get insane and do that, you can. You want to really like say I don't care. You play Luca and you rest Hojlund. Otherwise, I really don't, I don't know what are the options. We play Juan Jesus and you rest Buongiorno. But
that's a good idea, actually. I think that's the most I'd probably do.
Yeah.
That one, because I think this is it's important, not obviously, for making it through the next round of Champions League, but it's a very important game. You win this game, I mean, these guys start to feel like they might be invincible.
You guys agree with me though, like about the Champions League over like Campeonato over Champions, or like where are you guys at with that? I'm always interested to find out what people feel about that.
I want us to. I don't want us to sacrifice. Like I want us to win this match. I feel like, and like Conte still has to kind of prove he can compete on multiple fronts. Yeah, it's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
Like if you told me like we'd win this match, but at the expense of a draw to Udinese, I would probably not take that trade off. Then again, I mean, it does help that Udinese's on deck because he can maybe afford to play a bunch of guys.
Well, you play Luca on the revenge game. I see what you're doing.
Yeah, something like actually that makes a lot of sense. But other like I'd be more comfortable rotating against Udinese than against Benfica.
I was just saying, just in general, as far as a like what competition, because I think we also have to be realistic, right? I mean, like, what are the odds or the chances, especially this year, like I said, with the injuries that we win the Champions League? I don't know. I mean, anything's possible, I guess.
Yeah, and I don't know how much Conte's thinking about the finances, but there is a lot of money at stake, which can then go.
But I was just about to say, Joe, it's too big of a risk to not make it through to the next round. There's too much money on the line, especially after a summer where we spent like over 200 million. And we're gonna have to pay off debts in the next summer with Luca, and we're probably gonna want to get Elmas too, right? These guys that these bills add up. It sound like a homeowner, but it's too much. And I do think deep down Conte won't admit it ever because he's the way he is, but he really, really, really wants to prove people wrong in the Champions League. Not saying that he thinks we can win it, but he needs to prove a lot of people wrong. Like, listen, I'm the guy. Screw what you guys are saying, how I'm only a one-trick pony, I could do this on multiple fronts, and that's knowing him, the psychopath he is, he definitely thinks he can. So
yeah, I think not just the paying off the guys we bought already. Like I said, there's likely going to be a couple purchases in January, so we're gonna have to also pay those guys off. It would help to get a couple of wins or secure that spot in the playoff round to like guarantee some of that extra revenue. This is also Neres playing against his former team because I've been kind of debating. Like, I feel like Politano has to start, but then it's okay. Do you move Neres to the left wing, or do you just rest Neres and play Lang again? Lang's been playing a lot of minutes. Like I'm a little bit nervous. Anytime anybody plays too many minutes, I'm nervous now with the way the season's gone with injuries.
But Joe, I don't know, and Gaetano too. I don't know. I'm just gonna put this out there. I don't know if you guys see it the way I do, but when Politano comes in, it looks almost like he's laboring.
Yes,
he's a little
it's true. He's like not trying. Yes,
he looks.
Yeah, I don't even know if he's not trying. I think he's like he looks like a 40-year-old out there.
Yeah, I totally noticed that.
Agree. Totally agree.
It's like suddenly his age just hit him. Like he was running like mad last season.
He's tired, right? I don't know what's going on with him. It almost seems like they're faking an injury for him, or not faking an injury, but faking that he's okay.
Like hiding an injury.
Yeah, hiding an injury, right?
Or maybe he's just not at 100%. Yeah, like he's.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. It looks like he cannot run full speed.
There was one play where he beat his man, but then he was just so slow to get to the ball that another Juve player came over and cleared the danger. And maybe a little bit of it is also that he's coming on right after Neres is on. It's like just relative to Neres, he looks super old and slow. But no, I did notice that as well.
But in general, he's just always been a very, shifty player, pretty quick in like the nello stretto, we say, the little spaces, right? That's him. And he's very quick to get out. He's very, very quick, acceleration with the ball. So it's like, and he's showing none of that with very little minutes. So it's like, I don't know, maybe they are hiding an injury. I don't know. So
and he did.
I'd be surprised if he starts tomorrow, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll see. He did have an injury at one point, and he had like the fastest recovery ever. So it's certainly possible that he aggravated something or he never actually fully recovered. Any final thoughts, guys, before we wrap up the pod?
No, I mean, I guess the only thing I will say is hopefully we finish out these next few games on a positive note, especially in the Campionato, and we start getting healthy again. Sounds like Lobo and Lukaku will be ready. Well, Lukaku looks like he's ready already, but Lobo should be back in January, and then Anguissa after that. Yeah, that's my hope. And then obviously you get the January window and complete the squad. But I don't know, man. I'm like Dan said, this last few games have really given us, the fan base, the team, a real boost of energy. I think we can fight for this thing until the end.
Yeah, I have to agree with him. I mean, I think a win tomorrow really boosts us further. I'm a little bit worried about that game against Udinese, but if we get a win tomorrow, it really changes perspective for us. And like I hope we get to the Supercoppa with all wins so that we could kind of take a break. I could not care less about that. I don't know about you guys, but I really couldn't. Especially since they made it 2 games. I think it's a sham. Obviously, I don't want to sound like there's trophies to just throw away, right? But in the grand scheme of things, it just means nothing. So yeah, I hope we get to that with all wins.
I want to win a quadruple.
Ooh,
there we go. All right. They're not gonna have any spaces on the shirt to put.
It's just gonna be patches everywhere.
We're gonna look like one of those South American teams in Libertadores. They got like 7 sponsors on the shirt.
Yeah, NASCAR driver or something. But
oh yeah.
By the way, it was Paratici was the
Paratici.
I knew there was
a P. I couldn't remember. Yeah,
we were close.
Very close. All right, let's call it there, guys. Thank you, Gaetano, so much for joining.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you. And look, Tri-State Napoli Club. Check us out on Instagram.
Yeah, you can find if you want to find Gaetano, it's at Solazzo_13.
I'm boring. Go to the club.
Yeah, try_Napoli Club.
I just post pictures of my kids playing sports.
Yeah, but yeah, try_Napoli Club, and then you'll get a hold of either Gaetano or Pete. And if you're looking to go to a meet or just find out more information about the club, then you can find him at Daniel _Russo.
Wow.
Yeah, the double underscore.
The one underscore was taken already.
Deuce.
But Dan, thank you as always.
Of course, man.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Also, shout out to the San Diego Napoli Club. Like, can you think of a better place to have a Napoli club than San Diego?
No.
Saint Diego. They sent me a coaster and some stickers, which I'll post an image of. Very nice of them, and these stickers are starting to. I think they're sending people whenever they go on vacation, slap these stickers everywhere in Mexico and wherever you go. So it's pretty cool. So shout out.
It's been cool to see all the different clubs pop up, man. It's really, we've kind of hit a groove now. We kind of, just kind of hang out. We have some meets. We don't really have much to prove anymore. We kind of done it all. So
yeah, and everybody helps each other. It's a nice kind of community.
We're just kind of hanging out. No, it's nice. And look, I've always said this. Obviously, Carmen and the Toronto guys have been our biggest supporters, and shout out to them always. But the Jersey guys, the other New York clubs, and now you see, like I said, it's how awesome San Diego, man. Like, it's amazing. I know Debo is part of that.
Debo's a big part of that, absolutely. Yeah.
Great. He's one of the biggest maniacs out there, which I love. I say that we say that with the most affection ever.
I absolutely love Debo. I think he's heading to Napoli soon, so that'll be emotional for him because he lived there for a long time. And happy to see that he's.
Who does a really good job too is Miami. The Miami guys do a nice job.
Oh yeah, I haven't connected with them yet, but it's great to see all around, and of course our friends, like you said, at Napoli Club Toronto. We just did our annual Christmas party, which is always fun. And now for me, it's been really nice because I bring the kids with me as well. They're kind of getting like Evan's always been super into it, but my daughter Olivia is becoming a secret super fan. She's just very subtle about it. Like I was talking to her, a little side story, and I said to her, "Who's your favorite Napoli player?" She's like, Victor Osimhen.
Controversial already.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, what's his job?" And in my mind, I was like, goal scorer, and she's like, soccer player.
I love that answer.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, it's good. That's the one. Like Daniel will tell you, that's one of the best things about us too. Obviously, I always bring my kids, but people always bring their kids. It's a lot. It's just a lot of fun, man. It's awesome. Like I always said, we started this thing just to kind of find a spot to go and watch some games together. Now that Dan
Right.
Nitz has the restaurant up there to be able to support him that way, and it's just been great. It's been great.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to find the podcast or get a hold of me, you can find me mostly on X at Joe_Fischetti5 or at Forza Napoli Pod on all the social media platforms. If you're listening to the audio version and you want to watch the YouTube version, you can just head over to just look up Forza Napoli Podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe while you're there. That always helps to spread the word with the pod. It's slowly climbing a little bit on YouTube, but
You gotta watch, man. You gotta watch. You could see these beautiful faces. You gotta watch.
Exactly, yeah. These two beautiful faces plus me.
I
No, but I don't know. It's fun. It's I when I can, I try to incorporate some graphics and stuff. But
You're doing a great job, Joe. You're a
thank
pillar
you.
of the
Wonderful
Napoli
job.
community.
I wish I could do it a bit more. Unfortunately, lately it's been a little bit hectic, but it's
Get it
always
together.
a pleasure. And we'll see when we're back soon. Hopefully, it's if not after Benfica, then for sure we'll record something after the Udinese match. But until next time, I'm Joe Fischetti. Forza Napoli sempre.